All right, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome everybody here today and officially call this meeting to order. Want to just go ahead and review the agenda this morning. We're going to hear some reports, and then we're going to hear from our friends at National. We should have elections around 9:30. Hopefully we'll break on time around 10:30. Afterwards, we're going to hear from Will Robbins, and then we'll have a little roundtable discussion, and then we'll have our business portion of the meeting. I want to introduce our officers. My name is Cary Brown, I'm your president. Josh Deal, our vice president. Mike Miller, our secretary. Nathan Carnes, who we were excited to have here today. Actually, I called him yesterday, and he unfortunately has COVID, so he will not be joining us today, unfortunately. Want to introduce our board members in attendance. Rashad Wilson, at-large director. Pamela Shelley, at-large director. Russell Riddell, at-large director. Scott Marr, at-large director. Nick Bales, at-large director. Paul Johnson, South Chapter President. David Potts, North Chapter President. Also want to introduce and recognize our past presidents in the room. Danny Elkins, Brian Stubbs, and Mike McCollum. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and go through our section award winners. If you're here, please stand and we will applause at the end. Our Golf Professional of the Year, Scott Schroeder. Teacher and Coach of the Year, Gail Peterson. Our Bill Strasbaugh Award winner, Brian Stubbs. PGA Professional Developer Award winner, Rashad Wilson. Merchandiser of the Year Private, Troy Spencer. Merchandiser of the Year Public, Wesley Buchanan. Merchandiser of the Year Resort, Gary Clarkson. Our Golf Executive of the Year, Billy Jack. Our Player Development Award winner, Caitlin Cannon. And our Gene Siller Youth Development Award, Bill Hassel. Our Assistant Professional of the Year, Jake Manley. And our Patriot Award winner, Jim Arndt. And then our Salesperson of the Year, Heidi Cohen. Congratulations to all of you. I want to say a special thank you to our partners, Heidi Cohen from Bushnell, Levelwear, and Theragun. She provided the t-shirts today, so next time you see her, give her your thanks. Well, then we'll just go ahead and move into our Vice President's Finance Report.
Good morning, everyone. So I'll get into a financial report. I want to start off by commending Scott and the entire staff for their hard work over the last few years. As we all know, it's been uncertain times here at the PGA and in the country as a whole as we came through the pandemic and came into what is now the post-pandemic golf boom, some of which we're still experiencing. So I want to commend first the staff for their hard work, both through the uncertain times and now in a time that we have some stability. And I'm happy to report as a whole the section is performing well financially. As of now through June, we are within about 1% of budget, so pretty much right on plan. We do have some timing of revenues and expenses that come and go during our busy season. Obviously, July, August, September is one of our busiest times for both the section with activities and tournaments as well as expenses. So the Finance Committee, a small group, we've been working hard to both review the finances, get a good deep look at it on a day-to-day, but also keep our eye on kind of our North Star, which is looking forward to a reserve plan. So anytime that we have a surplus of funds, outlining exactly what we're going to do with those funds to make sure that that reserve is replenished and that we are in a good financial space. So the Finance Committee continues to work on that. We're starting to look ahead to 2024 into obviously budget season, but also some key strategic priorities of things that we can be accomplishing to take the load off the section staff. to make sure that we are in a stable spot and that we're looking proactively when it comes to finances. So again, I'll finish where I started. Kudos to the staff, Scott Gordon and his leadership in that group, and Scott Geary, the help from National, what they've been able to do and kind of getting our finances consolidated, that we are getting real live reporting much sooner and much more detailed than previous. So we feel that we are in a good position, and we look forward to planning for 2024 and beyond. Thank you.
Alrighty, so fundraising for our fundraising committee this year, it was a new committee, and I think we didn't kind of know what we were getting into when we started it. We set the goal, the board set the goal this year for a $200,000 fundraising commitment, and as of about 3 days ago, we were actually at a total of $204,333 for this year. In multi-year deals, it actually is $387,000 that we've got committed for multi-year deals. So we have hit that goal, and part of that is our Gene Siller Red Pant Memorial Tournament that we had a couple weeks ago. Thank you all who participated in that. After all the bills are paid from that, that fundraiser raised $77,843.35. If you've participated in that in the past or talked about it with anybody, it's been hosted at Pine Tree for the past several years, and for a number of reasons, we are looking at options to take that to other golf courses. And what we've come up with, we've worked a deal out with the AJGA. They had a sponsor. They wanted to do a tournament and involve Gene's grant in that, Gene's memorial legacy in that. And so next year, there will be a AJGA Gene Siller tournament at Pine Tree. Part of that will involve on the Sunday prior, the day before, having a member AM or a member junior tournament that will benefit the Gene Siller Memorial Grant. So that way the Pine Tree members can still participate in Gene's legacy and honor him through an event there at Pine Tree and let his legacy live on there. And the board, the foundation board, and the Gene Siller Grant Board has decided that we will try and take the Gene Siller Pro-Am and have it at some other courses in the Atlanta area and spread the love, if you will. And when all that was proposed and the AJGA came to us, we will split the profits with them on that event. And so I believe the minimum there was $10,000 would be our part that our Gene Siller grant would get for that. And as that was being proposed, the Sunday date that they picked, Ashley, his wife, said that that is perfect, and it's funny how the stars align because that Sunday that the AM junior tournament would be, it would actually have been Gene's 50th birthday. So we feel that's a fitting way to honor Gene and his legacy here in our section. So some exciting things going on there. And then next year, we're looking to do something called the PlayYellow BirdieBash. Several sections, foundations do it in the country. Some of the sections raise over $100,000 with that. It is basically where our members get pledges to play 72 holes, and every birdie that you get, whoever pledged, if they pledged $1 and you play 72 holes, and if you're Mike Miller and you make one birdie on those 72 holes, then you get $1 donation. So I asked, and it is not net birdies, it is actual birdies. So all of you good golfers, we would love to have you participate in that. We've set the date for it. We're looking for April 22nd of 2024. We are looking for a host venue for that. So if anyone in this room is looking, would partner with us to do that, the way it works is the funds raised are split 50-50 with your local children's hospital. So it would be a fundraiser for our foundation and CHOA. Any of you have children here, you probably at some point have had to visit CHOA or have a dealing with them. If you've ever been in that facility, it's amazing what they do. And so it's a way we can work with them and raise funds for them and raise funds for our foundation. So lots of exciting things going on there on the fundraising side. And just as a quick secretary report, we were at an all-time high in our membership for our Georgia section until the dues came out in June. And once that ran, we dropped just below that. But we are almost at an all-time high right now. And I believe it's all-time high for associates also. So that is exciting news that there's more associates registering for our membership, because as some have said it, the membership is aging, and as they age out, I told somebody they're getting old, but as they age out, then we need that pipeline to fill it. So that's exciting to know our numbers are up that much. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Mike. There's some exciting news in that report. We really didn't understand what was going to happen when we created that committee, and I think it is certainly outperformed, and thank you for your leadership in that process. What a great year we've had. I'm actually happy to report that we have kept the same officers for a whole calendar year. So that is a big accomplishment. And even though I'm part of that aging membership, I don't have any plans to leave this year, so hopefully we'll be able to get through this without any more turmoil. I want to kind of go over our tournaments a little bit. We had an unbelievable year with our players. PGA Championship qualifier Anthony Cordes from Cherokee Town and Country Club represented us there and did a great job. We had 3 senior PGA qualifiers, Paul Claxton, Todd Saffer, and Tim Weinhart. And Tim was actually a low pro at the senior PGA. Give him a round of applause. That's unbelievable. And then at the Senior British Open, we were represented again by Todd and Tim, and they performed very well. So we were excited that they go out and represent our section in such a great way. At this time, I'd like to actually congratulate Troy Spencer for winning our section championship. We weren't really able to recognize him that day, but I'd like him to come up, and we want to give him his trophy and an opportunity to speak.
Huge thanks. Yeah. No. So, what size is that? Thank you to the Georgia PGA. Thank you for an awesome event. Huge thanks to Sea Island as well. Just kind of one thing that we all deal with in golf, right? As part of our deal is bad weather. Those things just kind of pop up, and I think that the Georgia PGA did a great job with a difficult hand that they were dealt, but I'm very, very proud to win this championship. Thank you so much. Thanks for the acknowledgement, and thanks to all of those that participated. I think tournament participation is part of our job. It's part of what we do. It's game and business at golf, so please, I would encourage all of you to participate as much as you can, but thanks for this, and thanks for the acknowledgement. I appreciate it.
All right. Georgia Open, we actually had a new partner mid-year, and we still had $15,000 more in the purse. So $75,000 as opposed to $61,000, and just a special thank you to the Ford Plantation. That is such an unbelievable facility, and we are very fortunate to get to go there and compete. Hopefully everybody was able to come yesterday to our second annual merchandise show. What a great day. It's really an opportunity for us to gather the day before this meeting, have some fellowship, meet with some of our partners. It gives them an opportunity, or a second opportunity, to get in front of you. And then it also is a great opportunity for us to gather some MSRs with the breakout session. We had some just unbelievable discussion yesterday. I'm so happy with how that turned out. And hopefully you will go back and tell your peers about it, and we can get more participation, because this thing is continuing to grow, and it's going to be the new standard. And also, if you want to give us some feedback on how to make it better, please contact any of our section staff or myself or any officer, and tell us what you think we need to be doing, because we want this thing to really grow and become something that we're proud of. I tell you, I'm so proud to announce that at one point this year we actually had $1 million in the bank. So, you know, I think the new leadership and what's going on is tremendous, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of that. A lot of that is due to the strong work of our foundation, PGA Reach, with Carly Brands leads that, and she started in June after the last foundation manager Haley Estes moved on to BMW Golf, and so she's doing a great job leading that, and we're so proud to have her part of that team. I think it's been really good for us to rebrand our foundation in alliance with the PGA Reach. It gives us a lot of ability to sort of use some of that marketing that's used nationally, and so I think that's going to be a great thing. We do have a new foundation board. It actually consists of some non-PGA members for the first time, and it is chaired by President GM Chad Parker at Eastlake. Would you give a stand up and so we could recognize you? You're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Chad. Each one of our foundation board members has actually agreed to pledge and bring in over $50,000 just as part of being a part of that board. So it's a tremendous commitment for the people who are sitting on that board, and I think there's going to continue to be great things that happen there. The Gene Solar Memorial Grant, we gave away 8 grants this year in 2023, and net raised over $77,000 again. And, you know, Mike already mentioned this new partnership with AJGA, and I want to thank Steve Hamlin for helping us accomplish that. Steve, are you here in the room? If you'll stand up, thank you. Really appreciate that. I know that would mean a lot to Gene, and it certainly means a lot to Ashley, and that's just going to be a wonderful dynamic event. We have actually also partnered with the Braves Foundation, and so they're going to go around and have some events at some different golf courses, and so we're excited to partner with them because we're going to be getting a split from the proceeds that are raised there, so that's going to be a great partnership going forward. We also have a new partner this year that we're excited about, Calamity Jane. They've already contributed over $25,000 to the Georgia PGA, and they're partnering actually as well with the foundation to raise more dollars in October at the Calamity Cup. That date is October 11th and will be held at the Bobby Jones Golf Course. So that's going to be a great event. I hope there's a lot of participation there. Just overall, I'm just so excited about the strides that we're making at the foundation level. It continues to just grow and be a wonderful thing for us, and you know, this exists so that we're able to serve all of you better on the section side. So thank you for all the hard work that's happening at the foundation level, and hope that continues to grow. Scott Geary, man, thank you for everything you're doing. We're really proud of the work that you and the staff have accomplished already, and I'm happy to know that you're going to be sticking around a little while. So we're in negotiations to re-sign him and get his contract going, and hopefully we'll have that taken care of soon. You know, this has actually been my first year as the real president. And, you know, I'm so proud and thankful for you out there to allow me to serve you. It's been tremendously fulfilling, and you know, I'm actually thinking about ways that I can continue to do that in the future. So thank you very much for all your support. And again, if there's anything that I can do to help this be better, please know that you can come and talk to me at any time, and I would love to sit down with you one-on-one or personally. I've done that several times over the last couple days with some of our membership, and it means a lot to me, and hopefully I'm able to help you. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Cary. You know, when I was writing my CEO report in our board meeting, we lay out strategic priorities for the year. And the easiest way to go through is kind of check the box. Okay, we've accomplished this, we've accomplished that, but I think it's really important for us, the officers, the board members in the room, and all of you as members to take a look back at where we were and where we are now. 2020 happened, we have a pandemic, we're worried about tour qualifier dollars, we're worried about handicap dollars, we're worried about what is this world gonna look like. And you're going to hear from Russ Libby, you're going to hear from our roundtable discussion, but golf opened the doors back to the sporting world, to getting back out of your homes. And really, that fell on all of you. That fell on every single one of our members to handle that influx of play. And so it's really, you know, we get lost in everything we're doing. We're so busy. Everybody's working hard. But to reflect on that and remember that all of you in the room have created this boom in golf and have sustained it really for 3 years. We don't know what it's going to look like. Is that going to continue to rise? Is that going to come down? We're not sure. But here at the Georgia PGA, we want to just keep serving you to make sure you have everything you need to sustain this and to enjoy your career. One thing I do want to mention too is our officers and our board. Cary touched on it a little bit, but we had such turnover there, and that's not bad. We had Brandon Stooksbury, who went and got a tremendous job at Metairie. We had Brian Conley, who filled in for a year and went and got his dream job at the park down in West Palm. And so we've had that turnover, and board members have come and gone. But every single one of them, I truly want to thank, because you've wrapped your arms around what we want to do at the section and how we want to serve better. And it's a thankless job. Remember, everybody here that you see up here and our board members at the tables, this is a volunteer position. They don't get paid for this. They really don't. We did cover their room nights, which is nice, and we give them some food sometimes, but this is a volunteer position. and it really is a thankless job to listen to all of you, to make us better. It's one of the most unique structures in sports that the governance happens from volunteers. And so I can't thank all of our officers, our board members, and all of you enough for those who have stepped up and volunteered. I also do want to mention, you know, last year we kind of embarked on this merchandise show trail, and we hadn't done it before. We wanted to see what it could be, and we had a good venue last year, and I thought we did a great job this year, or last year. This year, I think we really stepped up our game. This room, this layout has been absolutely beautiful, and I want to recognize Scott Gordon, who really took this under his wing. If you could give Scott a round of applause for all of his hard work with everything. And our vendors, our merchandisers, our partners, everybody that got involved with this, it's been truly remarkable. And I think if you attended any of the breakouts yesterday, there was some extremely valuable information. Last year, this didn't happen, but this year I had probably 10 to 12 members come up to me who had attended a breakout and said that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Dwight Hansen, if you're in the room, he came up to me last night and said, in 30 years as a member, that last breakout was the best I've ever seen. And he goes, if you were in the back of the room and you looked at those sitting at the table, nobody was on their phones. They weren't texting. They were engaged. And we had such a diverse panel there that it was really neat to hear from each and every one of them, and I hope everybody got something from that. So Cary mentioned it before, but if you all will truly carry the torch for us, let your fellow members know, and associates, even your club officials, let them know what we're trying to build here and what we want to do with it. We want to create this value for you. So please, please get the word out to all of them. And then I want to go through kind of some of those strategic priorities and what we've accomplished as a section. I'd be remiss not to recognize them. So if Danny Elkins and Brian Stubbs would please stand up. These two gentlemen here, along with Phil Berry, make up our governance committee. And when I say volunteering is a thankless job, I mean, I know the hours you two have put in to making our bylaws, our Constitution, the way we govern ourselves better, and to make sure it's in line with how we do business now. It truly is a thankless job, and I just want to recognize both of you, so please give them a round of applause. I do just want to remind everybody that Moving forward, this meeting, we're always going to enhance it. We're going to get better at it. But this is the one chance we're going to have each year. For those that were at the spring meeting, and remember, we had the spring meeting to vote out the spring meeting. So moving forward, this is our chance to be in front of you, to give you the updates on what the section is doing. So it is crucial that we get our members here. So I want everybody to remember that. And then I want to share that we're really taking a hard look at how do we train your elected board members to be ready for whatever path they go on next. I know some have aspirations to go onto the national board and serve. Some are going to move into different positions at their clubs. And so we're taking that to heart to make sure those folks are ready for whatever comes forward. So if you have an interest, I know a couple have spoken to me about it, if you have an interest in serving and understanding more clearly what we do as a board and our committees and what we're trying to accomplish, please let us know. We're going to be sending out, we're going to highlight each one of our committees and the work that they do virtually with some videos, and then we're going to send out an opportunity for you to sign up if you're interested in serving on a committee. And then, moving forward, there's always elections for at-large. There's always a chance to serve your chapters or your divisions. If you have that interest, let us know, and we're going to make you a better golf professional for it. The foundation board, really, really exciting this year. It was the first time we brought in non-PGA members to be a part of that. And we rebranded our foundation. It's no longer the Georgia PGA Foundation. Our DBA is now PGA Reach Georgia. And we felt it was important to align with PGA Reach, which is the PGA of America's national brand, to better align our programs with what they're doing. I'm so excited that the board members that we have on that foundation board have answered the bell, rang the bell really. They've each committed their own dollars. And I want to clarify that a little bit. It's not, okay, we've supported this program for X, so that counts as my commitment to the foundation board. No, they've each said, we're committing our own money, separate of if we support anything else, to help you guys. And it's truly neat. One of our foundation board members, I think Cary touched on it, but each one of them committed $5,000. One of our foundation board members, we had our first meeting, hands me a check. And I looked at it and I thought it said $2,500. I'm like, okay, we'll get the next one. These are installments. $25,000 with no questions asked, with nothing. So I think what we're doing there is truly impactful, and that's a good measure of, hey, he was willing to do that for us. And I want to touch on just how important this foundation is to you as a member. I'm sure some of you in the room are hearing all the great work that's being done. We had $1 million in the bank at one point. We're doing all these programs. We're fundraising for the foundation. Okay, so what does that mean for me? Well, these programs are in place, one, to make you dollars, two, to set you up for retirement with deferred comp, and three, to make you a better golf professional. If you come with one of our programs in the foundation and go to your board and say, hey, I'm doing a junior league, I'm doing drive, chip, and putt, I'm running PGA Hope, I'm helping veterans get into the game, be hard-pressed to find a board that said, you're not really doing what we want you to do. And if they do, please let me know. I'll happily talk to them. But also, there's shared expenses between the foundation and the section. And look, everything's rising. There's inflation. The last thing we want to do is come to you all and say, hey, we need more of our members' money to do this. We don't know what the landscape of professional golf is going to look like with tour qualifiers. We don't know about the handicap system, what that's going to look like. This foundation and what we're building, what we're doing, is going to set us up for the long term and the future so that we're healthy and we don't have to come to you to ask for more money on your dues. We want to make sure we don't do that. So it truly is impactful what we're doing on the foundation. And Georgia Open, Cary touched on it. Look, we had a tremendous Georgia Open, and it was such a cool thing to share that we went with a new partner mid-year, and our purse was bigger than it was the year before. That's really neat. We didn't know what it was going to look like. Ford is a tremendous, tremendous facility, And I think that speaks to the facility it is because the qualifiers were so up. But to be able to increase that purse while we're making that change mid-year is truly neat. The fundraising committee, Mike touched on it. Bud Taylor, Atlanta Athletic Club, Scott Schroeder, Atlanta Country Club, and Brandon Veal. This is a group of your members joined this committee, and we had the opportunity to share with them what we're fundraising for and exactly what I touched on why the foundation's important. And those three, along with Mike, have really wrapped their arms around it, understood why we're trying to raise these dollars. And I think Brandon said it in one of our meetings. It was truly cool. He goes, you know, Scott, nobody has laid out where dollars are going when we're fundraising to me like this. And he goes, I am all on board. So it doesn't help to have the director of golf at Sea Island all on board on this. So excited on that. One thing I want to share too with the communications that we're doing, I'd be remiss again if I didn't mention him, but Michael Rakowski works tremendously hard on that, making sure that our emails come out weekly, that the emails from me come out weekly, that we recognize birthdays as well, and then working with Pamela Shelley and the communications committee to recognize our new members. We had a tremendous first new member and transfer member event at the Gwinnett Stripers game earlier in June, and we're going to do one at Bobby Jones, but all of them are working so hard to make sure you're up to date and are in tune with what we're doing. And then lastly, I just want to recognize all the Georgia PGA staff in this room. They've worked tirelessly. Multiple of them were down running a drive, chip, and putt regional down at Sea Island this weekend and came back for this. Others have been here since Saturday, Sunday, setting this room up. We have Pat Day out there doing a tour school right now. But for those in the room, if each one of my Georgia PGA staff members would please stand. Scott Gordon, Michael Rakowski, Carrie Ann Byrne, Dominic Smith, Tanner Higgins, Carly Brians, and Robert Gregory. If each of you would stand. And then the last thing I want to touch on, it was mentioned before, but I want to be able to recognize these folks. So this BirdieBash that Mike talked about, it is a two-person scramble, and you play 72 holes. And think of it as a 100-hole fundraiser a little bit. These two people go out, these golf professionals, they go out and they get donations for every birdie that they make. As an example, South Florida had about one of their teams had about $1,500 coming to them for every single birdie they made. And in 72 holes, I think that team made 50 birdies, whatever it was. So I think it came to just under $90,000 that team raised by playing golf for 72 holes and doing that. I'm excited to announce that we have a venue that is willing to host in Country Club of the South. But truly, if you have an interest in that, if you want to get involved, if you want to make a difference, it's not just going to our foundation. We're splitting these proceeds with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And for those who remember, we had a pretty cool program before COVID called Smiling for Life. That's something we want to bring back. And I think we have the opportunity to do that with the proceeds that we get from the BirdieBash. But I want to bring up some folks from CHOA so that you're not just hearing from me on it, but I want to bring them up to tell the story of what they're doing, all the good work they're doing, how PlayYellow can make a difference. So I'm first going to invite Sarah Schmitt to join me on stage and to tell a little bit about everything you've got going on.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me today. I'm actually pretty involved in the golf world, so this is fun for me. Not so much just with children's, but in my personal life. So would love to chat. If anyone wants to chat golf, I'm here to chat. But more about BirdieBash and more about children's. Like Scott said, like Mike said, we are excited about a new and improved partnership with the PGA sections of America, specifically with you guys here in Georgia. Let's see if this works. Oh, it does. Look at that. Okay, so a little bit about what we're going to chat about today. Samerah is here. She's our wonderful patient that loves to come and speak at events, and she's a great representation of a lot of our patients that we treat.
Samerah's been dancing since she was 7. She's danced competitively at a studio, ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop. To go from a perfectly healthy child to liver failure overnight is, I can't even put it into words. Like, yeah, it can happen to anybody. I noticed her eyes were yellow. And as a nurse, I knew that meant jaundice, but I didn't know why she was jaundiced.
And then my mom takes a picture of my eyes and sends it to a doctor she works with. The doctor said, take her to the hospital right now.
Her liver enzymes were extremely elevated.
That's when everything went downhill, and I don't remember much.
She had to go to ICU. They put her on dialysis because her liver wasn't functioning at all. And the hepatology team came in and started preparing us for a transplant. At that time, I freaked out.
We noticed there was a big change in her mental status. She was this really bright and kind and just jovial patient. And then all of a sudden, she started to forget the team members' names. And that's when she was listed at the top of the list for transplant.
And I feel like as a nurse, you know too much. So it was really, really hard.
Samerah developed something called acute liver failure. It's an emergent condition. You can go from a very healthy child to someone who needs a liver transplant and in danger of dying. Fortunately for Samerah, we were able to identify a donor very quickly, and within 24 hours of listing, we were able to be transplanting her.
I'm like, okay, I love you, I'll see you later, and busted out crying because I don't know if I'm gonna see you later. After she went into the surgery department, every hour they would text me and give me an update to tell me she was doing okay and the surgery was going well.
As soon as she was transplanted, this bright ball of energy just instantly returned. It was awesome.
Children's has provided many opportunities for me to grow. Camp is a big one that I'm very, very grateful for. The camp that I go to is for children who have had transplant or are on some sort of dialysis.
And Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is the only pediatric liver transplant center in the state of Georgia. Every child that walks through our doors is treated the same exact way, with love, care, and dedication. I believe every child who receives an organ transplant is a miracle child.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is not just a hospital. It's a second family. I would never take my children anywhere else.
So that was Samerah's story with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. She is here today. Samerah, if you want to come say hi real quick.
Hi everyone, and good morning. I'm Samerah, and I guess I'll just do a little bit more in depth of my story and how Children's has helped me, and how basically what you guys are fundraising for is going to a hospital that saved my life, and I would not be here today if it wasn't for Children's. But April of last year, 2022, my spring semester of junior high school, I had a liver transplant within 3 weeks. It all happened so fast. I am now 18, almost 19 next month. I am a freshman in college, starting at Kennesaw State. My liver transplant has now added on more health conditions. I now have bone marrow failure, so I'm in the process of all of the treatment things and blood transfusions every Friday. It's a lot, so I'm always at Eggleston, which is not too far from here. And as stated in the video, my mom is also a children's nurse. So I've been dealing with children's all my life, basically. So, and I have 3 more years left with them, unfortunately. So I'm headed on to Emory as I turn 21. But a big thing that I do want to say is just thank you for everything. What you guys are fundraising for is something so unexplainable, because there's people out here who do not have a hospital who's right down the street from them, or that they can even get to. I'm blessed and grateful that I was even placed on the transplant list so fast and got that transplant. If not, I don't know what would have happened, and I don't want to think about that possible cause. But the main thing I want to say is thank you to each and every one of you and to all of these gentlemen who are up here. But yes, I just want to say thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you all for listening to Samerah and her story. As she said, she is still being treated at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. We do treat patients up to 21 years of age, and we think that's pretty special, right? We're not just treating the little guys, we're treating young adults, and we appreciate Samerah always sharing her story. So a little bit more about me. I'm not as fun as Samerah, but I try. So a little bit more about our partnership and what that looks like. We are a Children's Miracle Network hospital that is comprised of 170 member hospitals across the nation. What that means is it gives us access to partners such as the Georgia section here, Walmart, Costco, Ace Hardware, places like that. Being a member hospital, we have access to all of those amazing partners and all of those amazing programs as well. As you can tell, all donations do stay local and benefit your local children's hospital. Children's is an incredible organization that cares for at least one patient from all 159 counties here in Georgia. That's an incredible impact. We are not the only CMN hospital here in Georgia, but we are the largest. So more often than not, patients are coming to our door. This is our mission statement. Just like you guys have a mission for your foundation, ours is to make kids better today, healthier tomorrow. A little bit about us. We have 3 hospital locations currently, 20 neighborhood locations, 8 urgent cares, and 1 new hospital. This is our new hospital that is currently being built off of 85 in North Druid Hills. It's a massive piece of property that's going up right now. It is slated to be done in the fall of next year, and with the funds that we raise with BirdieBash, all of that goes towards this beautiful piece of property, and we're really, really excited to share more information on that. Like I said, this is an incredible piece of property, a part of our community, but it's also a great chance to support your community. Okay, now about BirdieBash. Scott kind of mentioned it earlier. PlayYellow, it's kind of hard to see the play there, but PlayYellow is a program led by Jack and Barbara Nicholas, the PGA Tour, and Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Strives to bring the entire golf world together to help the 10 million kids that are treated at CMN hospitals each year. What is BirdieBash? Like Scott said, it's an activation that the PGA sections are using to benefit both of our causes. So not just PGA Reach, but you're also local children's hospital. Like Scott said, it'll be a 72-hole day, and the goal is to make as many birdies as possible. How to raise funds? Like Scott said, it's kind of a pledge base, right? So these pledges can come from friends, family, coworkers, anyone you could possibly think of before the tournament. And then as you're making these birdies on that day, those pledges can increase, can decrease, we hope not decrease. And then as that increases, your total and your fundraising total will increase. As everyone has said, we are saving the date for April 22nd, now announced at Country Club of the South. So we're really, really excited to be there. We'll have other patients there. Samerah, if you want to come, you're more than welcome. I'll bring some other patients with us. They're incredible kids that have incredible stories. Here's a little QR code. If you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter to see what's going on at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, you're welcome to join that. If you just have questions, you're welcome to email me or call me on my desk phone there. I'm happy to answer any questions about BirdieBash, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, golf, whatever you would like. Thank you guys so much for having me today.
I'm so glad they were here to better explain what PlayYellow is about, but Samerah, what a story. And I think I speak for everybody in this room. Do you golf? Well, we're gonna make you a golfer. And I think anybody in this room would be willing to stand up here and help you get on your path to golf. So hopefully you understand what we're trying to do with PlayYellow. It's not about just our programs that we do, but we're truly trying to make a difference in lives of those who truly need it. So please consider getting involved. Next, I'd like to bring up our District 13 Director, Mr. Russ Libby.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you again. And what an awesome place to be here at this hotel and in this facility. Congrats to the board and the leadership here. I think yesterday was a fantastic year two. I spoke with a lot of the representatives here, the vendors that were here, and a lot of positivity. And it's going to be exciting to look back in 5 or 10 years at all that you accomplished with this meeting in this merchandise show. So congrats. And I just wanted to say too, I've had the opportunity to spend some time with your board, with your officers, with Scott, and I just have to tell you that they are doing a fantastic job representing you. And every time I sit down with them, whether it be on a Google Zoom call or in person, their passion, their commitment, and their energy, like Scott said, this is a volunteer job, right? And they really do have your best interest, the best interest of the Georgia PGA at the forefront every single time. So congrats to all of you. And thanks for having me. I hope everything's well at your facilities. Hope everything's well with you and your families. I'm really pleased to report that the numbers continue to bear out that golf is still on a crazy ride. The National Golf Foundation shows that we're up 5% year to date over last year, which is one of the top 4 years in history with rounds of golf. So this ride is continuing, and I would say, like you were saying to Samerah, we're getting people interested in the game. We're sharing the sport that we love, every single one of us in this room, with others, and that's what separates us from other golf associations. On that note, I'm happy to also report that our associate levels and PGM student levels continue to rise. So more young people, young men and women, are interested in making a career in the golf business. So to date, year over year, we are 1,600 associates and students ahead of where we were in 2022. 1,600 more young men and women in the pipeline to take our jobs someday. You know, our median age is 55 years old, but it's getting younger. And that's because we have these young people coming in to the business. And a lot of credit to each and every one of you. Not so long ago, when the room was asked to raise their hand if you would encourage your son or daughter to get in the golf business, would you raise your hand? And there were not that many hands raised. But more and more every day, we love this business, right? And we're seeing young people get involved with the game first, but then with their fellow PGA golf professionals, their mentors, and we're seeing that start to trend in a different direction. So I'm really, really pleased about that. PGA in review. This year we had a fantastic PGA championship up at Oak Hill. What a great story with Michael Block representing us, and also a great champion in Brooks Koepka. Senior PGA, first time ever at our home at PGA Frisco. I had the opportunity to be there, and really a prideful thing to see our home representing a major championship. That senior championship, by the way, is the oldest senior major in golf. So a great job by our team. KPMG Women's Championship, also very successful. And I think next week we've got another big event coming up in Rome. And I heard quite a bit this spring, summer, that we were just going to walk all over Europe. But when I saw their team announced last week, I'm a little nervous. But I know we're up for the task. It's been 3 decades since we won the Ryder Cup on European soil. So it's going to be fun, and really one of the greatest sporting events in really all of sports, but particularly in golf. and that's ours. Pretty important, pretty special. I wanted to recap District 13. We had a gathering in Ponte Vedra Beach back in July. So District 13 is South Florida, North Florida, and Georgia, and we're the largest district in the country, over 4,000 PGA professionals. Your leaders, your officers, and Scott joined North Florida leaders, South Florida leaders, and we spent a day and a half at TPC Sawgrass. Breakout sessions, idea sharing, best practices, and a lot of great fellowship. And I think we all walked away better as sections and as a district, and stronger and more closely knit. So I'm really excited about that, and we'll be doing that again in not too long from now. But again, credit to them from the bottom of my heart, coming down and representing you, and we're all going to get better because of that. I wanted to give you a couple of brief updates on legislation that could impact the golf industry. I touched upon this last year, but the Department of Labor is taking a really close look at the independent contractor status. And as you know, there are thousands of PGA golf professionals that teach at facilities that aren't necessarily employees of those facilities. They're independent contractors. And so that is a threat, a potential threat to all of our golf facilities and those PGA professionals that are out there growing the game, earning a living, and representing the sport that we love. The PGA of America sent during the open comment forum our feelings on that. And we also aligned with the Club Managers Association, the NGCOA, to share our thoughts on it. Well, over 50,000 comments were submitted nationwide to the Department of Labor. They're still reading them. So that whole process has been delayed a bit as they look through all of those comments. My suspicion is that this will probably be taken up again late this year, if not into 2024. But it's something we need to watch closely, and I'll continue to keep you up to date on that. Additionally, there's some new focus on overtime rules. And again, potentially a threat to our PGA facilities out there. They're looking closely to the Department of Labor on the minimum salaried employee and what they make. And the number they're targeting is $55,000 as a salaried employee. In short, if you make less than that, if you have somebody at your club that's making less than $55,000, they could be eligible for back overtime pay. So again, it's something we need to look at. The golf industry is very unique, as I really don't have to tell you this, with the way that we have our assistants teach. And some of them are on salaried status for right now. Again, something we're looking at, and the PGA of America also has represented you on that note in submitting our comments on it. The last thing I wanted to talk about was in regards to the ball rollback that has been proposed by the USGA and the R&A. During the Open Championship this year, all of the PGAs of the world, there are 9 PGAs, PGA Great Britain and Ireland, Holland, Australia, PGA of America. So we sat down together and we created and crafted a joint statement from the Global Alliance of PGAs telling the USGA and the R&A that we did not agree with the rollback of the golf ball and that we did not agree with bifurcation in the game of golf. We also shared all of the potential consequences of such a ruling that might go into effect in 2026. So I wanted to just share that because I see that alliance of the PGAs throughout the world as a growing relationship, and I think it's healthy for us, and it's healthy for us to take a stand on certain things that we don't feel strongly about, whereas back in the day we were maybe a little more passive. Ladies and gentlemen, sort of standing back, but we're the leaders in the game. We're the stewards of the game of golf, and I think we need to speak up when we see that things don't actually seem copacetic. So more to come on that. We'll see how the USGA and the R&A respond, and I will keep you posted on that as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about is since June 6th, when the PGA Tour announced the merger with the PIF, there's probably been a lot of confusion out there in the golf ecosystem. As a matter of fact, that evening, the evening news with Lester Holt, after that announcement by the tour was made, you saw the PGA of America logo up there in the Saudi flag, and there was a lot of confusion with our customers, with our members, with our fellow PGA professionals. We had one PGA of America member that wanted to resign because of that deal, not realizing that it wasn't us. So this created some introspection on our part, and I think you might agree with me, but there's always been that confusion between the PGA of America and the PGA Tour. And what do they do? What do we do? And in today's age where you're hearing a lot about pay for play and the size of purses, we had pressure on us too. PGA Championship, we raised our purse in the 11th hour this year just to make sure that we protected ourselves as one of those 4 majors. So there's been that confusion, but I don't think there's any confusion in this room as to what we do each and every day when we get up and we go to our clubs, we go to our practice facilities, our driving ranges, any facility that you may work at, and we share our love for the game. We grow the game, we teach the game, and that's what separates us. So I'm pleased to report that you'll be seeing, starting with the Ryder Cup, a brand campaign that's going to do just that. It's going to tell our story about who we are and what we do each and every day. It's not about money. It's more about our passion and our love for the game of golf and doing great things for kids, for our military veterans with PGA Hope, and what you just saw here with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, the great things we're going to do in 2024 with PlayYellow. So that's what we do, and we love it, and we're going to tell that story better. So I hope you enjoy it. I haven't even seen it yet, but it's coming, and you'll see it launch during Ryder Cup week. I'm happy to answer any questions today. Thank you for your time, and thanks for all you do for the game.
Always good to hear from you and what's going on nationally. I actually, at that District 13 meeting, had the pleasure of getting to play golf with our new COO, Craig Kessler. I'm telling you what a dynamic man he is, and he is already hard at work trying to make our association run more efficiently, and is bringing the North Star program, which I think is going to do wonderful things for us. And appreciate you, Russ, serving on that finance committee, and I know that's a big task, and so lot to deal with there, and it's exciting to have good leaders in those positions. So definitely have some trust in that. I want to just reiterate the PlayYellow one more time. Hearing Samerah's story and watching her ring that bell rings a bell with me. Obviously, as a brain cancer survivor, I had the opportunity to ring a bell, and it means a lot to get through that, and it's very difficult to navigate that process. So I hope that everyone here gets involved and helps more bells to get rang, because that's super impactful.
And we'll bring up our new Georgia PGA career consultant, also acting as our player engagement consultant, Mr. Doug Wert.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I'm also, first thing I want to do is just share quickly just a brief report on our recruiting efforts in our region. Morgan Williamson couldn't join us today here for the meeting. She's getting pretty close to having her second child, and so couldn't travel here with us. But you'll see her report in the reports that are provided for the meeting today. But one of the things I want to just touch on for her, as well as how we're doing things in the regional model, is how well our recruiting team is doing. You heard Russ talk about the number of associates that we now have in our system, and that's all due to a lot of efforts by all of us as members of the association, but our recruiting team has been doing an amazing job with their outreach and getting people into the industry. You know, Russ mentioned that we have 1,600 associates in the system right now. That's the most we've seen in the system since 2009. And the last 5 years, we've averaged, prior to this year, about 950-something associates that have been in our system. So having 1,600 associates in the system now, that's all a credit to our recruiting teams, our regional model, and how we're all working together now in the regional model as career consultants, player engagement consultants, recruiters, and our regional leads. So thanks to Ted Logan and his work as well as our regional lead, and Don Sweeting prior to Ted. So first thing I wanted to talk about, is in the area of player engagement. I still serve as your player engagement consultant at this point, and we've had another amazing year with PGA Junior League across the country and in the section. And so wanted to highlight some numbers for you that we have seen. National players so far this year, and I want to explain, this number is our game changer memberships. It's not the number of players that we've seen in programs, it's those that have actually joined PGA Junior League as a game changer member. So 60,000, almost 68,000 players this year that have gotten the game changer membership, over 2,000 here in Georgia, and that's an 11% increase here in the section over 2022. And I think that's an amazing credit to everybody that's provided the coaching aspect of it, participated in PGA Junior League. And this past year, if you were a coach or assistant coach in PGA Junior League here in the section, would you stand and be recognized by everybody, please? So thank you to all of you that have coached, and want to just let you know that if you've got interest in getting more involved with PGA Junior League, please let me know. You see, we had over $500,000 in registration revenue that went directly to our coaches in Georgia, and over $17 million revenue that went back to coaches across the country. And then on top of that, we're seeing $15 to $16 million in revenue that goes back to the facilities in ways of food and beverage and additional memberships, golf shop sales, and so on. So PGA Junior League continues to be a big force in us growing the game as well as providing revenue back to our facilities. So I also want to share, we just recently sent out our Listen 360 survey to coaches and to parents. And I wanted to share just a few quotes that I've seen from coaches on the next slide there. So these are some coaches here from the section who have just provided some quotes for us as they have rated the program. When they get the Listen 360 survey, they rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, and we get a net promoter score. Right now, currently, those that have been surveyed, consumers as well as coaches, we're seeing consumers with an 80% net promoter score, which means 80% of them are out there promoting the program for us. And coaches, we're seeing a 75 net promoter score, which is amazing compared to other industries and other things that we have as far as recreation. So kudos to all the coaches and all the work they've done. But you see everything from how much it is, it's exciting to get kids into the game, as well as all the different ways that you can see creating different activities at your facilities. So just congratulations to everybody else. And once again, I want to let you know, if you want to get involved for 2024, coach registration's opening November 1st, so be watching for that. Coaches that have participated, just be watching for that, as well as anybody new that wants to join in and find more ways to create activity at your facilities. Please feel free to give me a call so I can talk to you more about it. So as Scott mentioned 2 months ago, I'm honored and very excited to share that I will now be serving as your career consultant for the section of Georgia. I will share this has been a long time career goal of mine, and all because I want to serve you more and be here as a resource for all of you. So it's really exciting to now be able to do that. And a few things I want to share today. First of all, I want to thank Don Sweeting. I know he's not here, but serving as your career consultant up until this point, now serving as the regional lead in the Atlantic region. He's done a great job as career consultant. I just want to recognize him, and I'm looking forward to following his footsteps and serving as your career consultant. So first thing I want to bring up today is our compensation profile. You're going to see here a QR code. If I don't see phones go up right away, I'm just going to stand here. Okay? I want to see the phones up and scanning that QR code, because even if you've already done your compensation profile, you also can go in and update it for us, okay? And here's the reason why it's important. because we can get now up-to-date compensation info from you for the section as well as for those across the country. And how do we use this information? Well, if you contact me and say, Doug, I'm negotiating my contract for the upcoming year. Can you give me compensation numbers for my position compared to various clubs that are similar to mine? Yes, I can do that. I can provide a compensation report for all the positions that we have in the PGA of America, and even look at it in certain regions, certain types of clubs, and so on. And so this information is really important that you update it so that I can help you with that. The other thing is when employers are looking at possible, hiring somebody new, they work with me and contact me and get that compensation information as well. So if you haven't done this for me, it takes 5 minutes. It's 1 page of information for you to go in and put that information in. So please take the time to do that, because it's really important. So if you didn't get your phone up, I'm going to find you later and have you scan it back there at my table. So we want to make sure that we're getting that information from you. It's very important. Secondly, today I wanted to talk about our services in the PGA of America of executive search. So when you're searching for the right person for an open position, or as an employer, or you know an employer looking for this, this is an opportunity to partner with us at the PGA of America in career services as trusted leaders in this service to help find the right person and use our extraordinary connections we have across the country throughout the career services department to help find the right people. You know, you're going to get a dedicated search expert that we follow 9 steps in the process to find the right person for these positions. And you know, it goes everything from an initial site visit, and I've already had the opportunity to follow along with one of the other career consultants in doing this in a position in northern Georgia at Macklemore, and it's quite a process, and it's been amazing to be a part of it. But initial site visit, you know, we look at market and compensation analysis for the employer, help them with a quality candidate list, and then, you know, once a candidate is chosen, we're still there to help with onboarding and evaluation and support of the new candidate, and even provide a guarantee to the employer once we hire that person for a couple of years. And if something happens, we're still back there to help them with that process again. So know an employer, you know somebody that wants these services that we can help more with. Scott will be involved with me as well in the section in these searches. And so if you have any of those possibilities, please reach out to me and I can explain more to you when it comes to our executive search services. And then lastly, just wanted to touch on deferred compensation again, and make sure that you're taking advantage of this. I mean, this is free money, folks, to where you can get up to $1,500 a year in a deferred compensation account for you to use at retirement. And it's all based upon your activity for us in the PGA of America. And so I want you to, phone's up again. I don't see it. Okay, let's scan that code so you can get more information on your deferred compensation program. You know, I was even talking with Russell this morning. You know, we even have activities for those that are in non-traditional roles in the PGA of America that can earn points and earn money towards deferred compensation. So I just want to let you know that those points are available in a number of different things that you can do, including involvement in PGA Junior League, okay, and other programs that we have available to you. So scan this code again and then give me a call if you have any questions about it. Lastly, I just want to say it's been a pleasure serving as the player engagement consultant so far here in the Georgia section. I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you and working all with you, and look forward now in my role as your employment consultant to help you with things like that in your life as well. So thank you so much for that opportunity. I want to thank the board and officers and all of you for the opportunity to serve. And so looking forward to more going forward. Thank you so much, and thanks for the time today.
And at this time, I'd like to invite up our Southeast Regional Director for the PGA of America. Worked very closely with this man on everything section related, but Mr. Ted Logan.
Thank you, Scott. Morning, everybody. I really just wanted to introduce myself. So I'm 90 days in to my new role as the Regional Director of the Southeast. So that means working with the Georgia section as well as 4 other sections, so South Florida, North Florida, Alabama, Northwest Florida, and Gulf states as the liaison from PGA of America. So working with the board, the officers, and the staff on all things. And then I also oversee, we've got a team of career consultants, player engagement consultants, and recruitment consultants all within the area, which I help support and oversee. You heard it from Doug. We really have 3 primary goals within these regional teams in this regional model. The first one, Doug just mentioned it, is increasing our professionals' compensation. So he brought up the compensation survey. I mean, I also act as the current career consultant in South Florida, and one of the things I'm recognizing there is we're sharing all these compensation reports with professionals, but sometimes the data might be from 2020 or 21, and obviously having the most updated data for professionals to share regarding compensation is key. So that really is for you, by you, and we want to increase that 10% year over year and continue to do that. The second goal is retain and recruit membership. So I think there's 40 assistant jobs open here. There's 109 open in South Florida. There's a lot of jobs open, and we need to do a better job as an association, not only to recruit people in, but also retain them. So we now have positions that are in charge of that to work with QEs and PQs to help them along in their journey. We're streamlining, the membership sign-up process. As of a couple months ago, 90 days ago, was about 15 different clicks back and forth to sign and some PDF pages, and we've blown that all up, and it's easy, streamlined online. So really making it an easier avenue into membership. And then the third goal of our regional team is grow our player engagement products, and that's really, what do we want to do? We want to increase participation in our sport, which is healthy for our business. So not only PGA Junior League, a number of different programs for coaches to grow the game. Quick, my background, I've been with the association for 10 years. First 5 is in a consultant role, and the last 5 in a number of different coaching roles, leading coaching with PGA of America. So liaising with the 5 national coaching committees, running the annual or the biannual coaching summit, and now have moved into this role. Prior to that, thank you to Russell. I thought I was getting rid of my Canadian accent, but I talked to him for about 30 seconds yesterday. And where are you from in Canada? So I'm fixing to get rid of that. But I worked for Golf Canada for 10 years in a sport development capacity, and started my career actually in a big bank, RBC, which sponsored a whole bunch of golf stuff. I was in marketing and sponsorship, and quickly realized golf seems a lot more fun than insurance and wealth management. So very happy to be in this role and within golf. And then I guess my sort of immediate impressions, 90 days in, Cary runs a mean board meeting, which is amazing, but the board, and Grant, I've worked with 41 sections the last 10 years, so this board is very engaged, which is amazing to see. Scott Geary, I don't like him to hear this, but is doing an amazing job, and I'm really, really proud of the work that he's done. So proud of Doug. You all hopefully know Doug, or will get to know him. He's a true professional, and he'll do amazing things. And then lastly, thank you to Russ for the leadership. You mentioned District 13 is the largest district. We should dominate. We need to control the association, and I think you mentioned the D13 meeting. That hadn't been done for 15 or 20 years. So thank you just for starting to bring the district together, and I think there's a lot of power in that. So I look forward to continuing to do that and make sure our voice is heard. So thank you, everybody. Amazing to meet you, and look forward to working with you for many years to come.
While we're waiting for these results to come in, I do want to give a special thank you to Scott Marr for his service. He's rolling off this year. He has been tremendous in the board meetings. I really appreciate your service and everything that you meant for us. So, Scott, please stand up. Let's give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for your service. Also, while I have the mic here for a second, what an embarrassment of riches we've had at the career consultant position here in the section. Mike McCollum was the guy that was around when I first got in, and he was so valuable to me, helping me sort of grow myself as a professional. And then Don, an unbelievable job he's done, and then I can't wait to see what Doug does. So it's been unbelievable to have those three men over my tenure be a part of our section. So thank you guys for everything that you're doing.
All right. Can everybody hear me all right? Sounds good. So we're going to get started here with a roundtable discussion. As Cary mentioned, Nathan Carnes, the secretary of the PGA America, wanted to be here, had his flight booked, was all ready to go, and then came down with COVID. So in his stead, we have our Southeast Regional Director, Ted Logan. Before I get started, I was just made aware that...
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Past President Brandon Stooksbury, it is his birthday today. If you have Stooks' number, feel free to send him anything you'd like on his birthday. One of the things I wanted to kick off with is just, I'm always fascinated by everybody's path to working in golf and how they got to where they are, not only in their position, but why golf? Why did they choose it? And so I want to start with our panelists here and just ask, how did you get involved in golf? We'll go down the line. You want to start,
Okay,
Ted?
well, I'll tell a slight, so you heard my story of working at RBC, big bank, they were sponsoring a bunch of sports stuff. I said that looks way better. My start in golf, I came from a family, no golfers in Canada. I was a hockey player, wasn't gonna play junior, I was gonna play high school hockey. That was sort of the path forward. I'm in 8th grade, my oldest brother's on the high school team. The very last game before I would have gone and started, there was a bench clearing brawl of our high school against another high school. It did not go over well, and the high school got kicked out of the league for 5 years, which would have been my duration of hockey. And Tony Verhoeven, the golf coach / hockey coach, said, okay, all you hockey players, there's no fighting in golf, badminton, and skiing. So you're gonna play these 3 sports. Those were my high school sports, and I absolutely love golf. And so when a job in golf came along, I was like, it's made for me.
I love that. And Ted, on behalf of the Georgia PGA, it's an honor to make it feel like Canada in this room for you today. So.
It is cold.
It is chilly, yes.
Yep.
Now, I say there's no fighting in golf, but there's been quite a few YouTube videos on Golf Digest lately. But anyway.
Well, I grew up just south of Ted in Maine, and started like many of you with my dad, and I would just tag along with him in the early years, and then I started chipping and putting a little bit, and just got bitten by the bug. And in Maine, we've got 6 or 7 months, really 6 good months of golf, so we would just really cram all that we could into the season. But that's really how it started for me, was just being out there with my dad, and then my mom started playing, and everything that we try to do today, right, get the whole family out there. So I'm just really blessed that happened.
Yeah, so not really a traditional pathway to golf. It was a fourth sport that I got to play with my dad a little bit before he passed away at a very young age for me, but loved sports, football, baseball, golf, and tried to do all of those at a high level. And like most things, I was adequate at a lot of things, but not exceptional in any of those things. But it was, I tried to make it as an artist, tried to make it as a musician, and I ran out of options in that world. And so why not take a job in a cart barn at 30 years old, working for Craig Harrell up at Ansley Golf Club and setting down creek. And man, I've just been blessed to run into so many great mentors. So many of you in the room, Brian Stubbs, can't thank him enough for all the things he did for me and helping me in my career. But yeah, so a little bit of an alternate pathway to most, but so thankful for all the opportunity that I've had.
You're an exceptional president.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit about, I think everybody's heard what the three up here do. with the PGA of America and with the Georgia PGA. But one thing, touching on District 13, we are the largest district amongst the PGA of America. There's 14 of them. And so District 13 is the largest, consisting of us, North Florida and South Florida. So this is for Russ and Cary. What have you seen, or how have you seen the kind of the cohesiveness between the three sections improve, and how important is that moving forward?
I'll start. I give you a lot of credit. I mean, like we just heard, I mean, we haven't really gotten together as much as we would like to. Since I've been on the board, it's been nice. You know, we have a dinner here and a dinner there, but to actually get in a room and brainstorm together and just be able to have that face-to-face personal connection, I think has meant so much to everybody. And to understand the challenges that are within the different districts and to hear those. And you and I were talking a little bit last night about some challenges that are happening down in South Florida, and for us to bounce ideas off of ways to fix those things. So it's hard to hear the challenges if you're not together. And so that cohesiveness, I think, is really helping us move things forward. So thank you for helping us with that.
It's my pleasure. And so I have a little bit of history. So I was president of the North Florida section in 2003, 4, and 5. And you had some great leaders then. And so Patrick Richardson and I just formed a great relationship. And then Tom Wildenhouse, who's on our National Board of Control currently, same. So we just had a kinship that developed, and that spread into our respective sections. And we were really tight. And so when I took over this directorship, that's really how I knew it to be. So I wanted to try to revitalize that, and it's been pretty easy. We have such great ladies and gentlemen on all three boards. So like I said, that's just sort of the way I think it should be. And we have a lot of clout. And like somebody said earlier, we don't want to take over the PGA, but our words, our influence means something. And I promise you this, that whenever I go back to that boardroom, we talk about some of the great things that we do here and how some of the decisions may or may not hurt or help our district. And I think that's really important. So your voice is always heard in that room, I can promise you that. And I wanted to say just one more thing on South Florida. You touched upon it. PlayYellow. South Florida's been doing it for a few years now. They raised $500,000 this year.
That's awesome.
And so what a great idea. What do they call? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? So you're going to have the same opportunity to do that and go to some really great causes. And it all was really a start of just probably Scott and Jeff Lofstead talking about it and saying, you should really try this. And here you go. Here comes 2024. It's going to be a big year.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about that. And, you know, just getting back on how our board members give of their time, again, it being voluntary, even at the district level. I mean, Russ, you've gone through all the chairs at the section level, and now you're serving the PGA of America board at the district level, and that's a 4-year commitment. You really shadow for a year the outgoing district director in their final year, and then it's 3 years on the board, and your last year, you've got a mentee or the incoming district director to help learn the boardroom and everything at the PGA of America level. So thank you for all that you do on behalf of the district. This is for Ted and Russ, really, but you know, in the district report, we talked about all the good things. Member numbers are up, associates are up, affiliates are up, and students are up, all within the district. I'm curious from both of your perspectives why that is.
Ted talked about it a little bit, but there is a concerted effort right now to recruit, right? And we have Morgan Williamson, who's dedicated to this area to do that, as well as Ted and Doug. That means a lot when we're actually being proactive about that and intentional about reaching out. We formed relationships with national collegiate groups, the club sports. We go to high schools and middle schools now and talk about golf. We all love talking about golf, but then we talk about a career in golf. Make golf your thing is a new coordinated effort that we put forth to talk about a career in the business. So I think it's working. And you talked about, Ted, and I won't steal your thunder, but we make it a lot easier now for young men and women to click the button and to get registered into the program. It's a little more seamless than it used to be, a lot more seamless. And we have a team at our home in Frisco that helps facilitate that whole process. So I think that the associates that get in feel a lot more welcomed into the program. And if they do, I think that's a greater chance for them getting through level 1 than they go to Frisco for level 2 and 3, which is fantastic. What an experience, such a prideful thing. And then we can get them as PGA members.
Yeah, I would just add, it's got to be, I mean, we're obviously in a bull market for golf. Golf is booming, which is a great thing that helps, but I think it's got to be a desired job. I tell the story, I was at the 2019 PGA Magazine Professional Golf Conference of the Year, and the Professional of the Year happened to say, who here would recommend their son or daughter become a PGA professional? And one person put his hand up, and when asked, it was sort of an awkward backfiring moment. He said, well, my son is sitting beside me. So I had to put my hand up, and I think over the last 5 years, I think that's evolved a lot. One of our key metrics at the PGA of America is there's professional satisfaction. So what's our member satisfaction? It's 70%, and we want to get that to 74%, obviously grow it over time. But to me, the key metric is the net promoter score. So we want to take that to above 50, and that means, hey, I'm a PGA professional, it's a good job, to a promoter of, hey, I'm a PGA professional, you should be one too, it's the best. So I think consistently looking at that as an association to say, how are we, what are all the important things in jobs? Availability, compensation, work-life balance. How can we as an association put a lens on that and make sure that we're working towards that every day and not a bunch of other stuff?
Can I jump in there too? How many people in here are associates? We could certainly improve on that. And I know that it's very difficult. We all have shops to run, and we're out of the office today, and we need our people there at the counter. Again, I talk about how much Brian Stubbs meant to me. I could tag along. I could come and see. I could experience. What better promotion could we do than to get them in here, see these people up here, what they do, meet the people in this room, make connections, make opportunities for them to move around, get in front of people they've never met before. It's a very powerful thing, and I think we should take more advantage of that. Drag them along. They may not have the greatest time sitting here listening to business that doesn't necessarily pertain to them at the moment. They're not going to get a vote. They see the process, though. They understand what's coming in the future, and they're going to be able to see that, and that gets them involved. And I think we need to do a little bit better job of that.
That's a great point, and I can say it's not an easy road from being, in the old days, an apprentice, now an associate, working your way through, getting your membership, and then when you get your membership, that doesn't mean you have a head job anywhere, right? You're still sort of working through the process, and it takes a while to get that first big job. And I would say that, to your point about mentors, if I didn't have some good mentors along the way, propping me up and keeping me focused on the end game, I might not have made it, you know? So the mentorship is really important.
I remember my first day at work when I got my first big job. I mean, if I hadn't been allowed to do everything, right? I'm just answering the phone, whatever. You get there, you could be pretty nervous. But I just did what I'd always done. I just did it from a different seat. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's really key to hone in on. Just as we have this growth and the numbers are up, how do we sustain it? One of the things, if you were in the education breakout, the second one yesterday is, like Cary touched on a little bit, being a mentor to somebody, put your arm around them and say, hey, I think you've got potential. I see potential in you. Let me help you. Nowadays, it's a little more rare for the younger students to come out, or those interested in golf, to ask and to say, hey, I need a mentor. I had a mentor of mine who said you should create a personal board of directors. So if Elizabeth, newly elected at-large, decides her first order of business is going to be to fire me, I'm going to call one of my personal board of directors for help with a job, people that I can go to and rely on to help helped me, go up in my career. So hopefully all of us can do that for the next generation. And then I looked around the room and was thinking about it, just making everybody aware of all the opportunities there are in golf, being a PGA golf professional. Our honorary president, U.S. Kids Golf, Jeff, who ran the first tee, my former boss, Steven, the American Junior Golf Association. We have sales reps in the room that have moved up both as reps and then with merchandisers. So there's so many unique and different opportunities to work in golf that we just need to make it aware. And I want to share too, right now we partnered with the Allied Golf Associations. We partnered with the GSGA, Golf Course Superintendents Club Managers, and we're doing an economic impact study on golf in Georgia. And it's a big undertaking. It doesn't just entail the rounds played at facilities, but you're talking about club or golf cart manufacturers. We've got 97% of the world's golf carts are built and made here in Georgia. PGA Tour Superstore, we have tour events, all those things. So we're going to be able to go to our legislatures and talk about how important golf here is in Georgia, but we're going to create a website too where there's a job in golf in Georgia you can go to. So we're working hard on behalf of all of you to make sure we can continue with this rise. I want to ask you, all three of you really, as many know, the PGA of America hired a new chief operating officer. And I think all of us, we've had a chance to meet him and engage with him. His name's Craig Kessler. He's a young guy, he's still in his 30s, taking over as COO for the PGA of America. So we'll go down the line, but what are your initial thoughts on Craig and what he's brought to the PGA of America?
I didn't know he was that young. I think solid is probably a word that comes to mind. I mean, if you do what you say you're going to do, over time people are going to start to trust you. And he listens a lot, and so far is doing what he says he's going to do. So I think, a dynamic individual. He started his career in working for large investment firms, and he's like, there's flipping houses and then there's flipping businesses. I would go in and sort of assess the entire business and the operation and look to turn it around and then flip it. He's obviously not doing that here, but I think he's got that mindset. And then he was the CEO for Topgolf for quite a while. I know he left, went and worked for Buff City Soap, which he said selling soap for a living isn't quite as exciting as being with the PGA, but my wife and kids shop there and spend like $20 on a weird bar of soap, so he was doing something right. But yeah, I mean, he's been unbelievable so far.
I met him first in April, and I told him about the District 13 meeting, which was going to be in July. He said, I'm there. And he was. And to your point, he always backs up what he says. He follows through. Asked a ton of questions, and really right from the get-go, he's a wonderful speaker. I'm hopeful that he'll be here someday in the not-so-distant future, but great speaker and just a warm human being, and he's genuinely likable right from the get-go. And I think the operations side, that's his forte, that's his expertise. That's really going to help us with completing the move to Frisco and making sure that we create the culture there that we desire, and really wanting our association to be the best place in sports to work. And I believe he's going to get us there.
Yeah, genuine. I think that's a very good start. You would think he'd be intimidating with all the things he's done. So young, Harvard, Georgetown, but just disarming, and he listens. He had a notebook that he carried around with him in his pocket. And every time we spoke, he would have it out.
You played golf together?
I got to play golf with him, yeah. We both need work in that arena, I think. But he's great. I mean, he just, right from the get-go, just makes you feel comfortable. So.
And one of the things Craig has brought or instituted within the PGA of America and the sections really is what he's coined his North Star program. I know we can't get into all the details, it's still a little internal, but from a 30,000-foot view, what can you share about what this program is going to do, how it's going to make us better?
Well, North Star, we have a long-term strategic plan which was activated back in late 15, 16. And
the North Stars is really a refocusing of energy towards making sure we hit our goals, right? Serving the member, growing the game. Those two pillars are always going to be there for us. So the North Stars is sort of a refocusing and a refining of our mission, and making sure that we have that undergirdle in place, that it's going to keep everything moving along so we can hit our marks. And so one thing that Craig did, and Craig really launched this program, the board approved it. We introduced it to the committee chairs in Chicago about a month ago. And we've also shared it with all of the EDs, and I shared with Ted to your board and officers last evening. So it's really focused on 4 areas, 4 stakeholders: the member, the game, the business of golf, and then finally the people who work in this section office, the people that work in our region, people that work at Frisco. Like I said, trying to get those people to be part of something bigger than themselves, and in the best sporting association in the world. So that's the focus, but we also have employed some quantitative programs that are going to help us. Are we going to hit our marks? You touched upon it, right? We want 45 to 50% of our members to raise their hand when they would recommend getting in this business to their son or daughter. That's important. That's important because if we're not promoting it, who is? And those are the types of things we're trying to do there. And I would just say lastly, making sure that the section has all the resources they need and want to better serve you here in Georgia.
I would just add from a staff perspective, I'm a project management nerd, and it's clear KPIs and what are the projects related to that, and therefore 250 roughly staff know exactly what they're doing and what they need to get to, and if they're not related to that and you're working on something else, then let's talk about that and why. So I think it's really focused. Craig's term is when I came, there was 125 different priorities that the PGA of America was doing with 250 staff, and he's like, I've been to a lot of companies. I don't care who you are, that's just way too many. We need to have 25. And to Russ's point, it was actually not a simplistic exercise, but we have the member, what are the key performance indicators? We have the game, we have the business, and then our people of internal staff. How do we maintain the best talent in the business?
Good. And that's important background to get onto where this is heading for this next really hard-hitting question, Ted and Russ. But this was brought to me by a member, and I thought it was an interesting question to ask here in front of our membership. But PGA of America sold Valhalla. It is now a tenant. It owns a building, but it's really answering to the Omni in the city of Frisco. It increased its purse for the PGA Championship, and then, as many of us may know, it let go of 20 employees. So for the rank and file, so to speak, if they see that, and we talk about this North Star program, but they see that, what's your message to say, hey, the house isn't burning, we're doing great, but we want to get better. So what would you share?
I think that's a fair
that's
question.
above my snack bracket, and I defer to Russ.
I think that's a fair question, and you may have heard we parted ways with 22 staff a month ago or so, and if you ever had to fire somebody, it's never easy, right? And we really, through the whole process, wanted to make sure that we said goodbye the right way, and we made every effort to do that, although it's always emotional. But I would say that this started, I'm really blessed and enjoy being on the budget committee. And under the leadership of Don Ray, who was here with us last year, we've taken a deep dive into every department of the PGA of America to make sure that we're running on all cylinders. And I would say that everything we've put forth and the board has approved is focused on making sure that we're a better PGA, a more efficient PGA. Elizabeth, you said this earlier today, in not so many words, but we can't be everything to everybody, right? And sometimes we have to sunset some programs to make ourselves more efficient. And that was really the genesis of North Stars, but also some of the focus on the bottom line. I want to be clear, though, the PGA of America is not in financial duress. We have a very, very healthy reserve. We have some of the most successful partnerships forming that support everything we do. We've got the Ryder Cup and the PGA Championships. The TV rights are secured through 2030 and 2031, respectively. So we're in fine shape, but can we get better? And I would say that most every one of you in your facilities, when you get to the end of the year and you're into your strategic plans and your budgeting, you're trying to do the same thing, right? Trying to make yourselves better. And year over year, continue to see that growth. And I think that's what this is really all about. As far as Valhalla goes, Valhalla in the early days was a facility that was designed to be there in case we had problems with the PGA Championship. For example, Oak Hill this year in May, it was a little chilly up there. We were a little worried about the turf and the quality of the conditions. And then if something catastrophic happens, like winter kill, we always had Valhalla in place as a backup, potentially. But of course, we host major championships there as well. So that was part of the reasoning to have a great facility like Valhalla. And of course, there's going to be another major there as well next year. So with that said, we felt with Frisco having two fantastic 18-hole golf courses that we could start to sort of focus more on that area. And that was really the genesis for that sale.
The only thing I would add, or things that I've heard, is, hey, the PGA lost $6 million last year. It wasn't losing $6 million, it was looking to create we sort of go on a 4-year cycle, so saving $5 to $6 million a year over the next 4-year cycle, to say, hey, based on the landscape of golf today, it's obviously changed immensely, certainly on the professional side. So that allows us to be a little more nimble in that sense, if there's potential opportunities, investments. So it's sort of, loosen the reins for us to be faster and more efficient.
Great. And I want to ask just one more question to all three of you, your thoughts on it, and then we'll open up for some questions. But as many know, the USGA proposed a rollback on golf balls and a different golf ball for certain competitions. And I know when they tried to roll out amateurs being able to be paid to give lessons, that was something that the PGA of America, took a stance against. And for those who don't know, PGA of America's stance on the golf ball and bifurcation has been, we don't like it. So can you say kind of what the messaging is there, and for us, what we can share?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's a public document, and we crafted a letter with the 9 global PGAs of the world, GB&I, Germany, Holland, Australia. I can't think of the others, but we came together, as I said earlier, at the Open Championship, and we're all on the same page. And we haven't always agreed with what the USGA has put forth with rules changes or maybe things that pertain to equipment. So all we can do is speak to what we know. And all we know right now is that golf is at an all-time high in popularity. So why do we want to make it harder? And those were the first talks about the rollback, and also changes in equipment that would restrict the flight of the golf ball. Why would we want to make the game harder for the people that we spend our days with? We don't believe that's right, and the timing is terrible. So then the focus became more on the tour players. And we don't really particularly like the fact that, and you might disagree with me, and that's fine. Generally speaking, over history, amateur golfers have loved to play the same clubs and golf balls that they see the people and the tour players playing on the weekends. It's just something that's always been that way. I want to play the Bridgestone ball that Tiger's playing, or I want to play that Titleist driver that JT's playing. So that's the way it's always been. So we feel like bifurcation, having 2 different sets of rules, will be challenging. But at the end of the day, too, most all of you in this room are the people at your clubs that have to monitor the use of the golf ball. And how's that going to affect handicaps if Mr. Smith is using the reduced flight ball for 2 months up to the club championship, and then he takes it out and starts using the other golf ball? So his handicap is going to be distorted, right? Well, who patrols that? We do. So there are a lot of those types of things that could happen, unintended consequences really, with this whole process. The last thing I'll say is the data. There's probably disagreement in the data that the USGA RNA have been using. That differs from what the PGA Tour data shows. And we wanted to have a closer look at the data together over the next couple of years before 26 comes and this goes into effect.
At the District 13 meeting, one of the things that just spoke out to me, Don, in his speech and talking about this and everyone gathering after the British Open, I just loved the message that said, you know, the PGA of America and our brand lives on the basis that we're the professionals and the experts in the game, right? But we receive information all the time about how the game's going to be affected through amateur bodies. And I think it's time, and I love the fact that we're uniting all of these associations together so that we can be on the forefront pushing the agenda, not necessarily receiving the agenda. So I think that's a great thing for us to start looking towards, and that's a strong message.
Well, you hit it right on the head, Cary. We are the caretakers of the game. There's no association or group of people that loves it more than we do, and we are going to protect it. And we have a 110-year relationship with the USGA. It means something to us. But at the end of the day, we can agree to disagree, and we need to be, I believe, like Don said, more vocal in the way we feel about things and not always sit on the sidelines and wait for things to happen. So I agree with that stance 100%.
I appreciate all three of you. Does anybody, we'll take a few minutes for questions if anybody has any, if you'd stand up and ask. Now's your chance. Yes.
I'm assuming we do, but you don't never assume when. Do we track the demographics of our associates and retention based on demographics?
So the question was, do we track the demographics of our association and track that?
Well, associates.
For associates, I apologize, yep.
I believe so. I believe we do. And as far as retention, you know, some of the information is optional, so we ask for whatever we can. And it's really important as we've really focused on becoming a more diverse association. I think in any good association, good business, you want to track. You want to have as much data as you can to see how you're doing. And like Ted said, key performance indicators, benchmarks, because we want to have more women playing the game and enjoying the game. We want to have more women in the business of golf. Like Jeff said earlier, we want to have more people of color enjoying the game. Because as we work through, we want to look a little bit more like our country, a very diverse melting pot of different people from different walks of life. And I believe golf has always had that tremendous opportunity to do that. So I think it's critical that we record it. I don't know if it's I think it's evolving because it's become part of our mission to be more diverse, more inclusive. So I would say yes to your question.
I think, and I would just add yes. One of the things we're doing with the cost savings is becoming more data-driven, and there's a cost to being a large association with a number of different data points and legacy data pieces. So bringing all that together, so we've sort of got it at our fingertips, which will be a big spend to sort of align with the sections and have all the data we need to make proper decisions moving forward.
Any other questions? All right, well, gentlemen, oh, there we go.
Speaking of rules changes, if the USGA does make those rules changes and we don't agree with it, has the PGA of America ever thought about creating their own rule book or handicap system or all of that encompassing as we're the ones pushing and selling it?
I'm sure they've thought about it. They've never employed it. You know, you talk about the handicap system. You know, I think that was a missed opportunity for us because we're the ones that control the process and manage the process at our facilities. And we, at the end of the month, we pay a fee to the United States Golf Association. So yes, I do think that was a missed opportunity. Like I said, though, we're really careful about our 107-year relationship, right? We want to make sure we coexist, but
the PGA Tour also has very similar views to what we do. So it's going to be very interesting to see what unfolds as we get closer to 2026, because right now many major equipment companies, the PGA Tour, and the Joint PGAs of America are all feeling like this is not a good decision. So quite honestly, I think the RNA and the USGA are in the minority right now on this.
I think Augusta National just came out with their stance, didn't they?
I think they did.
I think they did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Elizabeth just asked what really broadly, what all does this economic impact study include? And it's a huge, huge undertaking. You know, I don't want to call it low-hanging fruit, but the easy one to track is rounds played. But it's also money spent in food and beverage. It's also the tournaments that come to different facilities. And then the way that the allies have looked at it is looking then at merchandising and retail. So I mentioned before the golf car companies, Bridgestone, Mizuno, PGA Tour Superstore, anybody who is spending dollars in the game, we want to capture that. And the way it's done, a study was done in 2017 within the state, and I think it was about 1.7 billion was the impact in golf in Georgia. I mean, we're going to shatter that. And we're looking at 2022, which is obviously post-COVID. So that's going to be shattered. I mean, the associations I mentioned before, First Tee, US Kids, AJGA, we're going to try and track all those dollars spent. You bring up a good point in dollars spent with medical and other things. That was something we hadn't thought of. And this group that's doing this study for us, they're really at our mercy of the information that we can give. So to your point, Elizabeth, that idea, we're going to be sending out a survey and getting the appropriate people at facilities to talk to. But when we do, if you can share an idea, hey, have you thought of looking at these dollars that were spent, that's outside just what we're thinking, because we're four folks trying to do it with a group, and we're not going to catch everything. So it is a hard snapshot to look at, but it is critical to do, to go to our legislatures and our states. And I know California is suffering with water and land, and then the independent contractors that we've talked about before, and really making our case as to this is why golf is important to the economy here in Georgia.
I was up in Washington, D.C. in May, and the PGA of America is part of a larger group called the American Golf Industry Coalition. It used to be called We Are Golf. You've probably heard that term. AGIC is a mouthful. But we were up there with the National Golf Course owners, the club managers, the PGA Tour, and our relationship with the local congressional leaders is really important, because when I was talking earlier about the DOL, the Department of Labor rulings, but when these particular legislative things come forth, we need to do a better job of telling our story about golf. The economic impact, now $104 billion. I mean, that's the old numbers. That throws those, out of the park. Tremendous, and there's a lot of different multipliers in it that show how that 104 is impactful. Our district is about 13 billion. So Florida and Georgia, 13 billion economic impact. Those numbers are important. I love what you said about health and wellness, though. And there's no greater argument than what we just went through with COVID to show how golf kept people outside, breathing fresh air, allowed them to still socialize with their friends and family, and probably kept their sanity through some difficult times. So, and I think that's part of why we're enjoying the boom we are right now. So that's important. And then the last thing Scott talked about is the environmental impact of sometimes we get a little bit of a black eye that we use way too much water and that we put chemicals on the golf. Well, we're actually really good stewards of the environment. We just haven't told our story very well.
And matter of fact, Arizona, I'm sitting on the board with a classmate. He came in at the same time, and he represents the Southwest section. And they're doing a lot of really proactive studies to tell their story. And you wouldn't think this, but the golf courses in Arizona use 2% of the water supply, 2%. And yet you would think by maybe watching the news on TV or reading articles that they were using 72%. So again, it gets back to us doing a better job at telling our story, and that data does help, Elizabeth.
Great one. Any other questions? Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you want to talk?
Yeah, I think so. For Junior League, one of the North Stars is to focus and grow that program. And we're currently putting a plan together. So it's sort of, not that it's been stagnant, but it's grown to a point, and it's, hey, how do we take this to the next level? Obviously being fiscally responsible, but that's in the works for the future. And then a quick thing on the health and wellness data, just as a side note, we can sidebar after, but it's called the Aspen Institute out of Washington, D.C. They have an arm called Project Play, and they were looking, it's a group of business leaders, and they're saying, hey, if we want to save billions of dollars in healthcare, what do we actually do? Oh, just put kids in sports. So there could be some synergies there for your to look at that.
To touch on your question about how we're capturing them, I think we're PGA of America, Ted touched on it at the section level. I'll share, for those who don't know, there was the VA, which is, we have a memorandum of understanding PGA Hope does with the VA, that it's the only rehabilitative sport recognized by the VA, the PGA Hope program. And so the VA put out a little bit about PGA Hope, and I think we got ahead of our skis just a little bit there, because we were inundated with all these veterans that wanted to get involved with Hope, and there's standards to meet, right? How many veterans to a coach or a Hope coach? So on your point there, I think we've got the veterans that want to be involved Hope-wise. We need more instructors. We need more leads. Georgia's, I think, third in the country amongst all the sections at the number of chapters. So we need more instructors to help these veterans and get them involved in the program. And if you have any questions, you can talk to Carly, our foundation manager. She will.
And then the only other thing I'd add, and Russ, I think you mentioned it already, but is the brand campaign just of PGA professionals in general. So under 50% of the common consumer knows what a PGA professional does. I'm sure we all get asked, hey, did you play in the tournament this weekend? That's not what I do. So we're working on clarifying that, and that'll be launched at the Ryder Cup, or in and around the Ryder Cup, with the purpose of, and a big part of that will be all of those initiatives that you talked about, and then obviously sharing that. I think the common consumer is great, but how do we share that with all of our owners, all of our boards, and making sure that they understand all the amazing things we do.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point about social media, because a lot of that will be aired on television, but so many people are absorbing their information these days through their phone, through their laptops, so the digital side. And we have a fairly large and growing digital team at headquarters, and the digital and the media side are very important in telling that story about all the things you mentioned, but also encapsulating that into some helpful things that they can feed down to the sections so that you can deliver it locally too, and tag it with the Georgia PGA. So those are some of the things, we're always trying to drive resources down to the sections the best we can. And so those will be turnkey like little snippets that you can use here to promote your efforts with PGA Reach, Hope, PGA Junior League, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, and that was really the idea in us rebranding the foundation PGA Reach Georgia, so we could capture that branding and those abilities that the PGA of America has. So, anything else? Yep.
Russ, question about Frisco. I know obviously that's our new home, and you're always promoting and encouraging our PGA professionals to go visit Frisco.
There sure is. Rashad, I'm glad you mentioned it. They do have a brand new stay and play program. So if you bring a group of members down there, or maybe it's a group of college mates, you want to go down there and play, they have a stay and play program, and the PGA professional that's hosting that group actually plays for free and stays for free. So it's a great program, similar to what you see on these junkets to Ireland and Scotland and to Europe. So that program is in place. But as far as seeing the facility, you're all PGA members. You just go in and you see the place. Now it is secure, but you might want to let them know you're coming, but you're welcome to come in. We have a beautiful area that displays all the trophies, the history of the PGA of America. There's a collage, a digital collage of all of our members. So Russell, if you're standing there long enough, you'll see your pretty face pop up there. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good to see, and it's extremely prideful when you go there. And I know Texas is a long ways away, but it's our home, and we want you all to enjoy it. And I'm actually taking a group out there in November, so I'll be able to give you more feedback as to how it went. But I'm taking 11 other college mates and some members out myself, so more to come on that. And if you just wanted to, let's say you're in Texas doing business or something and you wanted to play, they do have daily discounts on the golf courses for PGA members as well.
All right, I think we're ready to break for. If you have any more questions, we'll be around. You can ask us, but we are going to take a little lunch break before we bring up Will Robbins to kind of close out our program. So if everybody would be ready to go at 12:15, gives us just about 45 minutes for lunch.
And I please encourage everyone to come back and hear Will speak. We got to see him 2 years ago up in Milwaukee. This guy is dynamic and just a great presenter, and he's got a lot of valuable information for us to listen to. So please come back.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll enter into the business portion of the meeting here. I do not believe we have any unfinished business. So do we have any new business that needs to be brought up? Any new business? Okay, having heard none, we will now enter into the open forum. Would anyone like to speak here in the open forum? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, everybody have a great travel back. Thank you so much for being here. I think the last couple days were very productive, and we look forward to growing this meeting and continuing to find ways to improve.